everybody. It's a special episode. I am here with the return of Mr. Ernie Blur Without Fear. This is the Dojo, and
You're now watching the captain.
so I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Ernie, I appreciate you coming back. How are you feeling right now, man? How's life?
I feel great. I feel great, man. Life is good. Had a good Father's Day, and yeah, I'm still alive to tell the tale about it. So I guess everything worked out okay.
But is Father's Day usually dangerous in your household?
No, well, it's usually because I don't know why I do this, but for whatever reason, my little Father's Day tradition is I usually like to sit around the house and watch like movies and TV shows with terrible fathers in them. So like we usually watched the Shao Tucker episode of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I just saw that today, actually, which is crazy. I was rewatching. I just saw that today, and I was like, "Damn, he didn't even think. He didn't even hesitate. He didn't even think about it. That's crazy."
Nah. He was like, "Nah, man, she got to go. I can't lose my license."
I'll be poor again. I was poor, bro. Fuck this.
It's like okay. It's like, man, look, the status out here we're talking about. We watched. We usually watch like a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of Invincible. Really anything that has like a historically terrible father in it, like
hey kids, this is what could have happened. Okay,
right.
I'm here. I'm present.
Aren't you glad that you got like I think we watched the the sports festival part of My Hero Academia with Todoroki. I was see? I was like, look at Endeavor. You see that right there? You see that could have been your daddy, but look, you got me. So you're better now. You got it good.
Like that too. You got toys and comic books and shit that you're
right.
Oh man, I wish if I had a present father, I wish my father was like nerdy like me growing up. Because oh my god, I had to struggle to get all my nerdy shit.
Oh man.
But anyway, to get into it, because I know people are either mad or skipping ahead through the video. We are here to discuss part 2 of this series that I've been doing as far as covering all the Marvel Bloodhunt tie-ins. There are a ton. I'm only covering the 6 single issues for the main run. Don't ask me to cover anything else because this is way too much shit. It's already enough to like buy all 17 of these issues when they come out. Granted, I enjoy it. I love saying that I have the full collection of the full run, and I have them collected. I'm getting some of the variant covers as well. It's cool to collect them, but there's no way I'm recording 20,000 videos for every single one of these mini issues. It's not happening. No. But just like last time, I guess I'll literally have them all put up right here. I'll just pull one out. We'll go over it real quick. Obviously, there's some that will be discussed more than others, but we can go ahead and get into it. What's up here? Starting off with, again, probably one of my more favorite runs of ones we talked about last time being Strange Academy issue number 2 of Bloodhunt.
Yes.
This is like all over. How did you feel about issue number 2?
I liked it. I will say that I'm kind of getting to the point though where I see the writing on the wall with it. I see the opening thread, and I think I kind of see not necessarily how it where it's going to go when it ultimately ends. I think it only has one more issue left. I think all the Bloodhunt tie-ins only like 3 issues apiece. But a lot of it kind of played out about roughly the way I was kind of expecting with the the new Darkhold, which it was kind of weird. I think when we talked about it last time, I had a vague recollection of Contest of Chaos, and then after we spoke, I went back and kind of looked through again. I was like, oh wow, yeah, there was issues that came out I missed because it was all annuals. It was not like a core book. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. It was a whole thing there with the Darkhold now being a little boy, and now that little boy being in the Strange Academy, and like kind of following the trajectory of like the last issue to this issue, and it's just kind of like, yep, everybody is kind of at each other's throats right now, but in the end, we'll all be friends. Like it's gonna be there's gonna be a talk no jutsu somewhere towards the end of this, and and everybody's going to realize they're on the same page.
I noticed that very quickly where I think within like the first 3 pages, Pia, I think is her name, the vampire girl, she goes through this whole like internal monologue saying of how the animes. I can't remember his name on the top of my head, but she's like, "Oh yeah, we're buddies, and he loves. We talk all the time, and I just know he hates vampires. Like, oh my god, he can't stand vampires. They attack his family." And then all of like a moment is he like, "Okay, we're friends. It's fine. I don't like vampires anymore." No like internal struggle. Not even a second to think about it. Even she was surprised. She was like, "Are you don't hate me, bro?" She's like, "No, we're friends." Which is a teenage boy, so I think that's it's alluding to something else. It just shows you the strength of hormones and how much they can conquer your hatred.
It was you know what it was. You know, it reminded me of it reminded me a lot of if you watch like any of these like movies where you've got like a white protagonist, and they probably have some misguided thoughts about non-white people, and then it just takes them getting to know someone who isn't white for them to be like, you know what, I'm not racist after all. And like, that's what it reminded me of. Is like, you got this kid who's like supposed to hate vampires, finds out their best friends are vampires, like, you know what, I can change. And I was like, man, that was quick. That was it was almost like I just ran with it. I was like, you know what, this is where we are. I was like, okay. I'm not like like sometimes I have to tell myself, I'm like, man, you know what, dude, this is of course.
Have they patterned or at least marketed Strange Academy towards like the teenage or kid crowd?
Kind of.
Okay, that would make more sense to me, I guess, because I don't see
Yeah.
them going on a crazy dark run of hatred if it's meant for kids and preteens.
Nah, it's and to be fair, I don't even think that it's like a bad thing, but just in the context of the type of story that's being told, like overall, like what Bloodhunt is overall, I do feel that it's kind of interesting that Miles Morales had to get the whammy put on him, to change up his narrative after being turned into a vampire. But this guy who, and once again, I guess, it's a huge difference, but like, it was just such a difference in tone, which, I mean, I guess is kind of the point. I like Strange Academy. I will be a liar if I said I don't prefer like core Strange Academy over tie-in Strange Academy. I'd be lying if I said I didn't.
The stuff that I read from the original, like right from the beginning, I'm like, who's Pia? This is a new character, and I don't see a couple of the older ones. Like Kid Dormammu's there, Doyle's there, and some of the other main cast. But like, I feel like they introduced like two more new. Either they're characters that were introduced before this run that I did not read, or they're just brand new to this run. And I'm just like, okay, this is.
I think I know like there might be one or two that might have come up in the finals, which I haven't read the finals yet. I read everything up until that point. So yeah, that is a blind spot that I will go ahead and cop to right off rip, that I have with Strange Academy as a whole. I do also kind of feel like too they're with the return of Agatha Harkness, which is just all over the place to me. It's like, I feel like, man, you have to have read a lot of comics that don't have anything one to do with each other outside of Strange Academy to be able to follow any of this. Like, you had to have read Midnight Suns, which came out, I think, a couple of years ago. Or it had to be a couple of years ago because it came out in and around the same time as the game. You had to have read Contest of Chaos. You have to already kind of be reading a little bit of Strange Academy at the very least. This I'm not gonna lie, this is a tie-in that asks a lot of you. Like, and not to say any of these things are bad, but it's just like, you got to do a little bit of homework before you can read this tie-in, just for any of it to make sense.
And I will give them this grace with the way they've been rolling out Bloodhunt. Is the runs have been very streamlined, which I really appreciate. I know we've talked about it before, and like in comic history, they'll have like let's say the Blackest Night, and there are a million different tie-ins that go into that, and you have to go look up what the actual order is or whatever else. Bloodhunt has been very like, okay, these are the tie-ins, these are the main issues, these are the exact dates we're going to release on. Here's 1 to 6 and everything in between. But again, they don't really. The difficulty is like you still have ongoing series like with Venom. Whenever we can get into that now because
yeah.
I don't think there's too much more to discuss when it comes to Strange Academy. It was cool. I'm enjoying Kid Darkhold a little bit more than I thought I would as a character in this one. I'm excited to see what more of his motivations are. I think he can be a compelling character going forward. But besides that, there wasn't anything like revolutionary that happened in that issue that I feel like was like noteworthy personally.
I'm not gonna lie, the best part of the whole thing, like literally the best part of the whole issue to me was the fact that they very likely wound up at a wrestling match at the end or like a boxing match of some sort.
Random
And
as
I was just
hell.
like, man, this next issue could be real cool if they play it the right way, but I don't know if this is going to get played the way that I'm hoping for. And then once again seeing Agatha, that was cool too. But yeah, other than that, I was kind of like, eh.
I'm so like her. I was first introduced to the character during the that was the Scarlet Witch thing. Name of the Scarlet Witch show. Oh my god, on MCU.
Talking about WandaVision.
WandaVision. I was introduced to her then, and then I saw her in me playing Midnight Suns in the game, and then I've seen her some more in some of the other comic stuff. So I'm like, she's a cool character, but I haven't seen like a solid run to make me like fall in love with her yet. It's more of a I am a guilty man. I'm a man of the flesh. So you see Google a little bit, you're like, oh, okay, attractive witch. Why not?
To get the Lions, honestly, to get you the Lions share of Agatha Harkness, you have to read a lot of old Fantastic Four.
Really?
Like a lot of, because I mean, when I say old, I'm talking like we're talking like 70s, like I think 70s, 80s, somewhere like actually, 70s era Fantastic Four, because she was the woman who took care of Franklin Richards. so that the Fantastic Four could go off and do their thing. So
they make her a super nanny then. Throughout like every time I've seen her, she's some kind of a nanny outside of the WandaVision show.
Okay. Yeah, that was her. That was kind of her, for lack of a better way to put it, that was kind of her role. That was basically just what she did. She was that she took care of Franklin. That was it. And there was some other stuff that was kind of going in the background, kind of led up to something bigger. But for the most part, I feel like it's weird. Agatha Harkness is one of those characters that, I don't know. I feel like, man, your mileage is going to vary with her because it really depends on who's writing her at the time. That will dictate whether or not she's a good character. And I don't mean like good or evil. I just mean that she makes any sense at all.
Right.
Oh, is she evil? Is she good? I don't know. It's like,
you give me anti-hero vibes, but
yeah.
Anyway, get into Venom 34. Ooh. This one has been a very interesting one to me for the factor of this is one I was talking about earlier in regards to them like setting up something bigger within Bloodhunt. With them introducing this character. I know I know people did not like your
they did not like my
comments last time.
No, they didn't appreciate the Lee Price slander. I get it. I totally get it.
You had a good bit of people that enjoyed it, but I think on TikTok that clip got like the 89K.
Yeah,
boy, they were like on Ernie's ass for like 2,000 of those comments.
Well, I mean, the funny thing about it, for me, just for me, is that like, I mean, it's a realization. Okay, here's a Venom realization, and I think the sooner we all accept this, the better off we'll all be. Venom has had more terrible comics than he has had good ones, and I say that because, I mean, okay, yeah, lethal. Like, I'm not talking about, he was in Amazing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about solo books. Venom has the same problem Blade does. Like, Blade, cool character, but I challenge you to tell me how many of his comics are actually legitimately good up until recently. Like I challenge people in this. I'm good right now. I've read his earlier comics, and for the most part, kind of doo doo. They're kind of doo doo a lot of the time. Like more often than not, Venom has the same problem. Like Venom didn't start getting good again until Donny Cates was writing Venom, and that was a few years ago. And before that, Venom was just. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Venom right now, kind of trending back in that direction.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because they're trying to like characterize the symbiote Venom, and he's not really connected to Eddie or Dylan.
Yep.
I'm just like, okay, how do you give? It could be done because this is this organism that's been around for a very long time and has been attached to a lot of different people. But it's I don't know, it's not hidden for me right now with him being like on his own yet. I don't know what it is.
I think I'm okay. I'm gonna be honest with you. Man, this one was hard to read. And the reason why is because I feel like the book is just all over the damn place. Venom as a comic is all over the damn place, and I do not appreciate it. Not appreciate it, not one little bit.
This felt like the most non-Bloodhunt tie-in that I've read so far. Like I think the only thing that made it a Bloodhunt issue was the fact that the priest that was speaking Dylan initially was a vampire.
Yes,
that was about it. That was about it. This is because it was setting up for Venom War, which I'm like, okay, cool. But Bloodhunt though, what about that? How's he tying into that? You gave him a tie-in so he could tie into the story, and he's not tying into the story. He's setting up his own story.
Well, here's your problem. And I think I've said this a lot of times, but I don't mind repeating it. Venom right now is one of those comics that I feel like has the same problem that other comics like, and I don't mean any of this dismissively, but comics like Saga, or comics like Dark Knights of Steel before it ended, or comics like Doomsday Clock before it finally completed. It's one of those. Venom is one of those comics, man. I feel like I got to go back and reread like most of it to remember what the fuck happened the last time. And that's just kind of is what it is. Whenever I read Venom, I feel like I got to go back and do homework. Like, man, I was like, dude, I need to go back and reread these last 10 or 15 issues because I feel like something, like not even just that. Sometimes even specific issues, like the stuff that was going on with like all the Bedlam and the I forget the names of all the other ones. Like all the Meridia stuff. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I love Al Ewing to death, but I felt less confused when I was reading his We Only Find Them When They're Dead. Which I don't know if anyone's ever read that comic, but it's an awesome comic, but it jumps around in time a lot. Like, and I'm talking about like huge, like hundreds, if not thousands of years in time, and doesn't really do the best job of telling you when and where you are sometimes when a particular part of the plot's going, because that's the story just works better that way, if I'm being honest. But I felt less confused reading that than reading Venom. And that's a problem. So yeah, it's safe to say Venom is for the streets for me right now. So
for the streets is hilarious.
Yeah, Venom is for the streets. I don't. They keep it. I don't. Look. I tell you what. Call me when Venom goes back to being a street. Give me that call.
Yeah. God. To your point, like I said earlier, just run with this particular issue. I was intrigued a little bit by the not Lee Price, because again, I'm not going to get people go out on me saying this, not Lee Price again. I don't want that clip. But
man.
the Lee Price-esque villain, he intrigued me for a little bit because he was like this. He felt very similar to Null in a sense, where you have this guy who's claiming to be this being old as time and we've met before, blah 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 blah, and then they kill him off, and then another one pops up like immediately. Like, damn, what the fuck? What was the point of introducing Buddy if we're just going to introduce another one almost immediately?
I don't get it. Like, I legitimately do not. I don't get it. I like you know what? I feel like this. There are some books that just don't need to be tie-ins to bigger stories. I feel like whatever. I feel like the thing Marvel needs to learn is stop trying to make everything a damn tie-in to your events. Like, sometimes shit can just be by itself. Like the shit that was going on in Venom, let that be it. Stop trying to make all these tie-ins a thing. Like it's not gonna, like, I know why they do it, because it's to get people to jump on those books. Like, ooh, if we tie this into Bloodhunt, you know, people will probably read it. No,
because I feel like you taint your actual run when you do that, because it's not correlating to the main run. It feels like a Naruto filler episode. Like, I'm just getting this random story that tangentially relates because it's happening at the same time, but it's not interacting with anybody else's here.
No, and not only that, it's embarrassingly bad. Like, it's well, and I feel like, you know, we're kind of at this point right now where I don't think we don't need this. Like, we don't need you know, BS tie-ins to, you know, like, just give me the story. If I want to buy a tie-in, I want it to be something that feels like it's actually a part of the story. Like, I don't want a tie-in that just, oh, this is something that happens to be happening at the same time all these other things are happening. My preferences for tie-ins, I want the tie-in to feel like, not necessarily like, oh man, if you don't read this, you're missing the story, but I want it to feel like, okay, this is actually legitimately enhancing the story.
And on that note, that leads us directly into the Miles Morales tie-in.
Yes.
Or it's directly related to the actual run that's going on and somewhat important, because it gives you the complete backstory on how he got bit by Blade, which is a little bit more underwhelming now that I'm seeing it. It felt more intimidating before when they did like the cut off, like the bite off screen. I'm thinking Blade like violated this man, and now I'm just like, oh, he kind of just he snuck him and got a quick bite off real quick.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, man, that's something that I'm seeing with this run, where Blade being a villain is badass, and initially it started off very intimidating in the run, early runs of the run. But he's just gotten kind of soft to me as time has gone on. He's just, every time you see him after issue 1, he's like either screaming or complaining or going through his evil monologues, soliloquies, and then they're
not good ones either.
He's just like he feels like a Power Rangers villain, where he's up in his evil domain, and then his henchmen get beat, and then he's mad, and then you don't see him do anything about it. Which, again, hopefully this changes. At the end of issue 3, they make it seem like, he's about to come wreck shit. Because he's like angry now.
Let me tell you something. The whole time, every time Blade talks now, because it's funny you mentioned Power Rangers. Every time Blade talks now, all I hear is Rita Repulsa. Like, if that motherfucker would have literally turned around and been like, after 10,000 years, I'm free. Like, he said that, I'm not gonna lie, I would have closed the book. But like, just the stuff that he says is like so wild to me. I'm like, dude, I was like, you don't talk like this. Nobody talks like this. And I kept this page pulled up because it was just funny to me. But the man literally says, but they have the temerity to try to inspire hope in this doomed world, and that I cannot countenance. Not when my triumph is at hand. And I'm like, I'm not even paraphrasing what this dude's saying. This dude is talking like if he would have been doing this like on his mustache, he'd been twirling the mustache while he said it. It's the only thing that would have been like more on brand for a mustache twirling villain. He couldn't have been more. And I'm just like, dude. I was like, man, Jed, you're gonna need to show me something. I'm gonna need to see something in Bloodhunt number 4, or else I'm gonna have to get the flamethrower out, because I'm going to have to torch this whole thing. It
started off so strong. It's like Blade against when he went to go visit Doctor Strange. I'm like, oh hell yeah! He's menacing. When he was like, again, when we popped up on Miles, like he was a threat and looked intimidating as hell. And then now he's just like, okay, now we're kind of meandering through the story now at this middle point.
Well, and the reason, and I'll tell you, the thing I feel is actually better. I don't know if you had this one on the list, but I said this in my video. I feel like Midnight Suns is where the real story is.
Yeah.
I
have that over. Matter of fact, I forgot to pull out. I got just two of them I forgot to pull out. It's that one and I'll bring up the other one in a second. But Midnight Suns, bro. I'm enjoying that so far.
To me, right now, that's where I feel because I feel like Blade is not even a character in his own crossover. Like the first issue, yes, but when you get to like issue 2, where he's like barely in it, and you get to issue 3, where like he's kind of sorta in it, it's just like, yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. I know why Brian Hill didn't take this one, but I wish he did. I wish he would have, because it probably Blade at the very least would have come off a little better, or maybe would have gotten more more Blade. And it could also just be as simple a thing as sometimes I've seen in cases with people like Jonathan Hickman, where it's like, I don't know how to write these types of characters, so I'm just not going to put them in, or I'm gonna use them as little as humanly possible. It could be one of those situations. But every time I see Blade, I'm like, that ain't Blade. Like, to the point Captain Marvel even said it. I was like,
yeah, Blade's cool and collected. This guy is like erratic as hell and just doing shit. Cut to the next page where he's like screaming his brains off because he saw a speech. And that's another thing where I'm like, they're putting, to your point, issues 2 and 3 feel like it's like they're making Sam Wilson the main character of the story. Because it's like, even in issue 1, they made it such a big deal to where it's like, oh, you're really valuable because you inspire hope into all the human race. And I said this in my review for issue 3. Why does it matter though? Because in every tie-in and every main issue we see, it becomes very apparent that regular people have no fucking chance against these vampires. Even the low-level vampires, they're like super intensely strong and are fucking up not just regular people, but they're also giving some of these heroes a challenge. Why, if they're inspired, does that give them any more of a chance to take on these vampires at all when the heroes are struggling to take them on? I don't understand that point. So why is that a big in this? Like if they were like a military, if they were occupying them like a military dictatorship, it would make more sense to have that kind of a political inspiration aspect of the story. But it just feels like you're trying to pump up Sam so much now for future stuff to get people to read his future stuff, and you're not focusing on Blade because they're doing that. Then they're still also like somewhat hyping up Brielle at the same time, which I think that's who should be to me personally, Brielle should be the main character of the story. And I said that in my first issue review because they hype her up a little bit. And I'm like, even in the 3rd issue, they're like, hey, you're the only one that can kill Blade, which I'm like, okay, this King Arthur shit's going on. Why is she the only one that can actually kill him? I don't understand why that's the thing, but okay, I digress. Hopefully they, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
It's silly. It is some of the silliest shit I think I like. It took me a while to even like make notice of the fact that I was like, oh yeah, man, Dracula really did not tell her why he was taking her to to Atlanta and then to New York and all this other stuff. I was like, damn. I was like, oh shit, that is kind of sad to me.
That show's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. when they're in like after the Miles thing dies down and they're like, everybody's like, so yeah, Blade, right? They're like, yeah. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're like, Dracula, what the fuck?
It's just like, well, it felt weird. It felt weird because it was like, man, you mean tell me he didn't tell her shit? And then he got her sitting up here looking crazy as hell. Like, huh? Y'all want me to clap my daddy? I just
to his point. I think this is probably one of my most favorite parts of the run is when they focus on this group of people. Because to that point, Dracula's like, what the fuck did you expect to happen if I told her that? Like, she'd call me a liar and then dip. Like, I need her to be around. Like the writing for them is solid to me. I think that character writing for this group of people, like with Clea, Strange, the Avengers, and the Dracula, Miles, and Brielle group, I think It's pretty solid. I'm even liking Tigra and Hunter's Moon a lot more in this run.
Mhm.
I had only seen Hunter's Moon in that one when he was introduced, and I hadn't seen Tigra at all. I thought she was like White Tiger initially. I'm like, oh, these are two separate entities. Okay,
no.
cool.
So like you get like your premium. You get your premium Hunter's Moon and Tigra in Jed MacKay's Moon Knight. You see a lot of the you actually see a whole heap of a lot of Tigra towards the like you kind of see her in the beginning, but you see like a lot of her like towards the middle and end of Jed MacKay's run on that. But I was just happy because like I was like, man, this actually feels like a good book when they are present. Because I like Hunter's Moon a lot. I like Tigra. I like the Midnight Mission. And honestly, well, I was a little disappointed. I was actually incredibly disappointed with how they did the first Vengeance of Moon Knight tie-in for this, because it was like, okay, you gave me Vengeance of Moon Knight #4, which is not tied to Bloodhunt at all. And then like you make this huge reveal about who the new Moon Knight is. And then when it's time to start up the next issue and get to the resolution of that reveal, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, by the way, vampires. It's like,
fuck.
I was more invested in this reveal, if I'm being honest. Like I was like, man, can y'all like wait one more issue? Can y'all start this shit in like 6 when like we're not talking about this anymore? Like I don't know. I feel like whoever is, I don't know who's like on editorial over this whole arc. I feel like some mistakes were made, but and it's also the fact that like, well, I'm glad the Miles Morales book itself. Something I actually almost kind of forgot too. I should have said this earlier with Strange Academy, Doctor Doom. Seeing Doctor Doom.
I forgot. Yeah.
I was
going to get into that. I'm going to get into that as well, because he's been very interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's just kind of been chilling, doing his thing, and we know that's where Clea and Doctor Strange are going. So we know we'll see Latveria get pulled up on here very soon. But the thing I didn't like about what Jed MacKay was doing is that, and I kind of made fun of this in my video for it. I feel like Jed MacKay was, trying to spell where he was taking his kids for the weekend, so they wouldn't know. Like, hey, we're going to DISNE. Like, it's like, but the thing is, your kids can spell, so it's just like, you taking us to Disney? He's just like, huh? What do you mean? Like, no, dude, we can spell, dude. We're not stupid. But no, I didn't like that part, because I was like, dude, I was like, dude, I've seen the solicits. I know we're going to Asgard. I know that's where we're going. Why are you playing around like, oh, we're gonna go somewhere and we need one more person? And it's just like, well, who would that be? I don't know. But I know where you're going and I know what you're trying to do. Because it's the very thing that Jed MacKay set up in his Moon Knight series. Y'all are gonna go bust Khonshu out. And because without Khonshu, you can't get the fist of Khonshu resurrected. And it's like, and he's in Asgard, where he has been since Jason Aaron's Avengers. So
I will say this though, from my perspective, where a lot of fans may be, because I know I came into this run very ignorant to a good bit of what happened to the outside content around it. I initially didn't know until I reached out to one of my other friends who's reviewing this as well, and she gave me the rundown of what was going on. That's another thing too. I don't know if this is supposed to be like, well, I feel like this run is supposed to be meant to like get fans back into reading it, because there's so much introductory exposition for a lot of these characters with some of these characters. I think for simple enough, I think we can go ahead and get into the next one as well. Getting into this is with Dr. Morbius and the Amazing Spider-Man stuff.
It's Morbid time.
They pretty much like, that's another part too, with the Morbid time joke. You literally make a meta joke attached to the fucking movie. I don't know. This run feels like they're trying to get a lot of casual fans back into the run with the way they're doing exposition for some of these characters that aren't super well known. And
I just appreciate Morbius had no response to. He's like, I don't even know what that is. He's like, I don't even know what that is.
I think he said, if you say that again, I'm going to tear you apart.
Yeah.
I'm going to murder you.
He's like, don't ever do that again.
But this is probably an example of one. I've been enjoying the Amazing Spider-Man stuff so far. The first one was kind of because it wasn't really, it was another one of those situations where it wasn't directly related, I guess, where he was fighting vampires, but it wasn't relating to anything that was going on. I'm enjoying this aspect now where you have this dilemma for him where he is like, well, there's still technically people and I don't want to kill them because they deserve a second chance or da-da-da-da. And having that first issue makes it very apparent why he's so strongly feeling like this way about vampires right now. And I love the conversation and the dichotomy he had between Misty and how Misty's like, motherfucker, they trying to kill me. I'm not about to worry about saving them when they're trying to scratch my eyes out. I'm popping these motherfuckers.
Right.
And then you got Lizard, like Lizard's just there. He's just there, like. And I love that he could talk. I thought that was a cool thing. I love their little trio. Like I would love to see a team run with these three. I would love to see more of that. I think they have a good chemistry. It's dope. Plus, I love to see Misty Knight and more stuff outside of the Netflix Marvel the Netflix Marvel stuff. We haven't really seen too much of Misty. So seeing her to run with Spider-Man, you could push her more. You get Lizard back in there. I think this would be dope to see. I want to see more of this outside of this run.
I liked it because it's kind of funny. So before they relaunched Amazing Spider-Man, I think last year or whatever, they did this thing where they took the initial stuff like that was going on with like the Beyond Corporation, and they've rolled it into this. And I do appreciate the fact that, like, because say what you will about Zeb Wells' Amazing Spider-Man, I will definitely say that I actually thought it was pretty good up until they relaunched it. When they did the relaunch, that's when the whole thing fell apart to me. But that said, I appreciate them going back to the Beyond Corporation, which is kind of like tying in Misty Knight, who during that particular part of the run, she was pretty large and in charge, working alongside Colleen Wing and whatnot, messing around with Beyond. And then, of course, I'm forgetting the woman's name. I'm forgetting the poor woman's name, but the woman that used to be kind of like slick in charge of the Beyond Corporation, the pink-haired woman.
I'm blanking on her name.
I don't remember her name to save my life. If someone held a gun to my head, I would probably say go ahead and pull the trigger. Yeah. I can't. I don't remember her name for the life of me, but like her being back and how they kind of just explain away in a couple of word balloons like why she's not in prison, or whatever, and then just kind of moving on from there. I thought that stuff was all pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, as it stands right now, of the stuff that has come out recently, Amazing Spider-Man and Miles Morales Spider-Man, I think have been some of the better tie-ins that have recently dropped. But like, I do feel like in some ways, I don't think they're incredibly important to the overall narrative as much as they probably should be. Like, I feel like maybe Miles Morales a little bit more so because you get to see that kind of the following moment of what happens in Bloodhunt #3 between Miles and Dracula trying to get back to Brielle. And then, of course, as you said earlier, getting the context. But in terms of Spider-Man, it's just fun, is what it is. It's just kind of a fun book that happens to be happening at the same time. Which isn't a terrible crime, but I do wish it was a little more tied in.
Yeah, it's which what my guess from what I'm seeing for some of this stuff is that I look at this founder name. I just pulled the issue back up. It's Maxine Danger is the character's name.
That's what it was. And that's a name I never would have thought about.
Never in my life.
Never. Yeah, well, and the funny thing is, I did several videos about that run of Spider-Man where she was present, but like that was a while ago. So like her name isn't even. I knew it was Maxine. I would have been able to pull out, but like Danger was not the one I would have thought of.
But to that point though, I think that we're getting to a point which is what I'm hoping is going to happen in like the third of all these tie-ins, because we're on the second issue for a lot of them, is I hope we're getting crossovers now. Because from what it seems like in issue 3, where you saw Clea and Strange go to Latveria, we also know that in the Strange Academy tie-in that like Doom popped up on them and was like, hey, I can help you out if you want help, which is like, why is he so friendly with these kids right now? So I'm hoping that's like we get a Strange Academy, Doctor Strange tie-in, either in the Strange Academy issue 3 or I don't think have we got Doctor Strange issue 2. We have got issue 2 yet. Have we?
I think there was a so that one was kind of weird because they did a strange thing where oddly enough, where I think they kept the kind of like with Venom, they kept the same numbering, like they didn't do like Doctor Strange Bloodhunt, this, that, or the third. They just did like, oh, this is Doctor Strange number 15. And they just left it at that. I don't know if they did another one since then. But I mean, I guess if I really wanted to, I mean, I have a checklist. I guess I could look at that.
We know they're crossing over.
Yeah,
we know that's happening at some point.
Yeah. Oh, they did do another one. I failed. I neglected to read it. That's what it was.
That's the one downside of these getting all the variant covers is that when I look up the actual image of the actual like main issue cover, I get confused. I'm like, oh shit, that's a different one. But I digress. I think we're getting crossovers there. I don't know what other. I'm trying to think about other crossovers that are going to pan out. More than likely, I could see. I could see the Strange Academy and the Midnight Suns possibly teaming up because they have old girl, the Darkhold, or the daughter of Chthon.
Oh, Victoria Montesi.
Because with the Montesi or Montesi virus, I don't know.
But I say Montesi because we have a lawyer in my city that is pretty popular. He said he calls himself Montesi, so that's just what I go with. I don't know.
Sounds cool to me. I'm here for it. Montesi it is. Shit. So we'll see. I want to go ahead and get the bullshit out the way though, because
yeah. This
right here,
man,
Avengers number 2 of Bloodhunt was more of what if you guys watched the first video where we discussed it in part 1, did not care for it. I already don't like Cap like that. If you haven't seen any of my content or me on other shows, I kind of have to stick to my character now of just despising Captain America for the low-key closeted racist he is. So I get an issue where put him against Nazis, that way he won't seem as bad.
I mean, look,
it's Baron Blood is an underwhelming villain now, or is it the Red Baron or Baron Blood? I can't remember which
Baron
one.
Blood. Yeah, Baron Blood. Yeah, he's a nothing. He's a nothing burger. For being honest,
it's more of what we discussed earlier in regards to just. It's a story that's tangentially related, kind of, sort of, not really. And I don't know. I was angry reading it when halfway through because I'm like, I just want to be done with this shit. I really don't want to read this. I'm only reading it because in case something happens in it that I need to know about later on, let me read this. The only, I guess the highlights of it would be seeing characters like Hazmat get to shine, because we talked about it initially in the last episode where I hadn't been introduced to the character at all beforehand. That clip also did very well. Appreciate you for that. She's dope though. Her powers are dope. I didn't realize that she could just manipulate. I almost said radioactivity, but like for better term, radiation.
Yeah.
Create different kinds of radiation. I just thought she had like one general type. So the fact at least to my knowledge, she created like solar radiation, because that's the only way I could picture her just throwing shit in the air, just melting the vampires without melting her or Hercules. It was dope. It was cool to see that.
Yeah,
Hercules was cool too. I would love to see more of this team with a different leader, because I just don't like Cap like that. I love to see the chemistry her and Hercules have. I would love to see more of them interact with one another with the whole big brother little sister energy they give off. And Hawkeye again is another one of those characters that would like with Cap, where she's kind of just there. And they gave her big like monologue too for inspirational speeches to prisoners. And I'm like, I don't think you have to give that to these people that just want to go home. I don't think you need. We're just like throwing out these speeches now. And it was bad because I read that before I read issue 3. So I just saw 2 back-to-back speeches, and I saw one that really did matter, but was effective, I guess. And the other one was like, why did you just drop this right here? Why do we need to do this?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't really have so much a problem with Cap. My issue is just that, like, I just don't care about what they're doing right now. Like, it's like, okay, the Avengers are going against Baron Blood. He's nobody to me.
Another Cap Nazi story is I can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this to me. Every significant Cap run is like some form or variant or a DLC of a Nazi. It's either Red Skull, Hydra. Like, I'm done with the Nazis, bro. Can we leave them in the past?
I mean, I'm at this point where I just can't be I just can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered. This dude, and here's the thing. The one thing about Baron Blood, I think that kind of makes him look a little different from most other Nazi-esque characters is that he looks like Wolverine until like you realize it ain't Wolverine. Because of the way he wears his mask. But like outside of that, I don't care. I would rather see this squad doing something else. If I had my druthers on it.
Go help the actual Avengers team that's trying to do shit. Like, go help them out.
Like, well, and the thing is, it's kind of funny because you're talking about earlier with Hazmat. So, I feel like this like event is kind of like watching a horror movie. You have to write characters doing dumb things or not doing the obvious thing. Otherwise, it's over way too quick. It's kind of like how, what was it? The Bloodhunters tie-in. You see characters like Dagger running around. Jubilee just had a I think she had a tie-in somewhere in here. Just kind of proves it.
Yeah, Ivor's right here actually.
So yeah, which I mean, we'll address her here shortly. I
think it's a one-off, right? I don't think it's a
one-off. Well, it
says 1, so I'm guessing there's like 2 more of these, I guess.
Well, what they're doing is okay. The way they're doing it is it's going to be like Jubilee, but then the next one will be like Psylocke or Magic. It won't be like Jubilee again. Like they're kind of spreading the
X-Men.
They're spreading the X-Men around, which I mean, that's whatever.
Massive one's gonna be interesting. I'm waiting on that one. I think
that's one of the next ones, or one of the I guess one of the next crops that's gonna come up, and then we'll get one for Laura Kinney, and then I think we get another one somewhere in there for somebody else. I don't remember exactly who.
That comes out tomorrow. Actually, I think it'll actually drop tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you're. No, I think you're right. It just I would rather they just I would have rather just done like a full-on X-Men tie-in and been done with it. Like just make it a whole book. But I guess because everything going on with like the X Office, and it would probably require people to write books that are already busy doing other shit. I guess that's probably why it didn't happen that way. But I would rather outside of Hazmat and Hercules, I actually don't really care. I
don't. I definitely
like.
don't.
I love me some Hazmat because like she was larger to charge on Captain Marvel, but like, but yeah, this ain't it.
We can go through this next one pretty quick because this is kind of another one that's like tangentially related, but isn't at the same time, which is annoying because it's the Fantastic Four. What fucks me up to it really irritates me too is when I see these books with these dope ass arts, and it makes me think it's like, wow, what's going to happen? And then the whole issue is just like Reed going through his internal like crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It random tangent because I made a little TikTok short or just a short, and then I'll put it on most of my platforms. I was reading through this, and I remembered the events of Superior Iron Man. of how Tony just on a whim had a cure for blindness and casually just dished it out to Matt without him asking for it. And it made me think about, I would be so annoyed if I was is it Cassie? Who's Ben's wife?
Alicia Masters.
Alicia. I'd be so pissed if I'm Alicia and I'm around you all the time. I have kids. We're like essentially like you're my brother-in-law essentially, and you just watch me walk around blind all the time. Knowing damn well if Tony Stark can casually invent a cure for blindness, you who can invent interdimensional portals and all kinds of other crazy shit to battle Galactus can invent a cure for blindness, cancer, like an affordable way for people with disabilities to not like. Again, I'm not saying this as a knock to people with disabilities, but in this universe, when you can do crazy shit like that, there shouldn't be any disabilities. I'm sorry. Everybody should be able-bodied if you can create interdimensional portals and shit like that. Why are y'all just like chilling?
Well, it's hilarious. It's even more hilarious if you look into like I don't know if you've ever checked out the Jonathan Hickman run on Fantastic Four, but there's a part where they discover how to turn they learn how to turn Ben Grimm into a normal human like I think it's like one day out of the year or some mess like that. And it's like y'all could figure that out. But y'all can't. Meanwhile, Alicia's still sitting here bumping into walls and shit. Like y'all just acting like this is normal. Like I was like, damn. I was like, I'm not gonna. Like I get why they don't. From an editor, like, and I want to make sure I'm clear what it says. From an editorial perspective, I totally get why they don't do it. But from an in-universe perspective, I'm like, man, at least somebody offer it. Like at least
that would be a dope story if they could somehow tie it into where, let's say, everybody grows a conscience and like Hank Pym, Tony, and Reed all sit down and like, okay, we're gonna come up with a cure for blindness, for the end world hunger. And I would just love to see like you could do like a dark storyline of like, okay, all the world's issues are gone. Now some crazy shit happens. I don't know. Like people will just go crazy because they have nothing to fight about. I don't know. You can figure it out. I think that'd be a dope way to go about it on some. It'd be cool to do. Similar to Kingdom Come almost. Where like, okay, we have nothing but heroes now. Villains are damn near null and void. Now the heroes are just fucking stupid or children now. You could do. I think that'd be a cool story, a good way to like a good thing to dive into, to acknowledge it at least, because this is Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you can't like. It would be. It's kind of like how you've got all these people who are incredibly talented, incredibly smart. You're surrounded by like literally people talk about this all the time. Oh, who's the smartest people in the Marvel comics? Oh, Reed Richards, he's up there. Tony Stark, and oh man, you got Hank Pym, you've got Spider-Man is really smart. You've got apparently Norman Osborn, also incredibly smart. Dr. Octopus, incredibly smart people. Dr. Doom's a genius level person. Like you got all these people like so incredibly intelligent and capable of creating all these things, and yet Charles Xavier can't walk. I mean, I get it. I wouldn't have fixed his legs either, just because I feel like whenever Charles's legs work, he just becomes that much more.
He's a villain. Whenever he can walk, he's a fucking villain.
It sounds terrible, but it just is what it is. Every time I feel like Charles is able to walk, that dude just starts perpetrating some heinous shit. So like I totally get it, but like, man, Carol Danvers is still out here struggling with alcoholism, and Tony ain't thought hey, I got a pill that can just literally get rid of all that. I'm gonna make this. Here, I'm gonna make you an implant, just totally get rid, like just all gone.
Worst case, even at a simple level, hey, let's go to a DD meeting together. Or an AA meeting together. I was an alcoholic at one point. Let's talk about this. Let me help you out real quick.
That much they've done before, but it's just like it's still weird to me though that because that's one of the things that kind of got lost to time is that when Carol was originally going through all that stuff, Tony was the one person who like stood by her on all that stuff. Like, and I feel like when it came time for Civil War II to roll around, all that just kind of went out the window. They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean they're so close? But no, they have to fight each other. My story dictates they must fight each other. That's my homie right there. Remember, you had to cure cancer addiction.
I'm like, why not? Why have you not done that yet?
But he can travel to the negative zone.
Yeah, you can get the ultimate nullifier and fucking go in. You can teleport from Earth to Asgard. You can go to a little godly dimension. But hey, eyesight, autism is still a thing. We out here.
Can't even make magic legs. He can't even make like prosthetic legs for somebody or like you or cybernetic. Like I'm sorry. Out of all the weird stuff that I've ever seen like come up in comics, it's like, man, yeah. I was like, man, you know what? This is why the villains don't like the heroes in this universe. I was like, man, because y'all are terrible. Y'all are terrible.
All the villains are usually like broke too. They're like, I see why they hate you now.
Yeah, I was like, dude, like
it's the equivalent of like me.
Only I can save everybody.
The equivalent. I used to work at a lot of fast food places, and I would see how a lot of them have this thing where like they just throw away the excess food at the end of the night. They don't go give it to like a shelter, and because I guess for liability reasons. But I'm like, this is why third world countries hate us, because we got so much food we can just throw away, and there's like literally a hungry dude outside of the building just like chilling, looking to go through trash. You can just give him tray of old chicken tenders you have here. I don't know, man.
It's like we got to throw that out. It's just stuff like that is just stupid to me.
And let's face this comment, eyesight should be like tic-tac-toe to these guys.
Oh yeah. Wait, motherfuckers got cybernetic. How many people we seen walking around with cybernetic eyes? Okay, they helped one handicapped person and have never looked like that. Like Tony Stark and Iron Fist pulled their resources together to give Misty Knight a prosthetic arm that has cybernetic enhancements in it, and have never looked back. They're like, nah, man, we look at what we did. Look at what we did. We fixed disability. We fixed it.
And shout out to Jasmine. Okay, so see that's funny because the liability thing, that's what that's my manager used to tell me. They used to ask that question. I'm like, why can't we just give this food out to like a homeless shelter? But Good Samaritan, that would make sense. I don't know, man. That's something that kind of like angers me a a little bit.
Yeah,
that's the capitalism. That's what I blame it on.
Oh, I don't want to get that's 100%. That's 100% capitalism. Also, shout out Jasmine. Appreciate you dropping by.
Thank you so much. Love Face too. I love seeing new people popping in. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the support. But to further down the timeline, I think we've already spoken to Wolverine a little bit, so we might as well get into his tie-in. This is what I was highly anticipating. First off, this artist is sick as fuck to me.
I'm trying to remember. Who
artists for Bloodhunt are in a fucking bag because they make all these cover arts look amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Juan Jose for the cover, Ben Harvey. I know it's Juan Jose Rip on interiors. But yeah, I was like, dude, they're actually like kind of doing their thing. I was like, I'm okay with this. But I will definitely say, I was not expecting the direction this book was going to go.
Yeah, it's another one where like they made Wolverine a B character in his own book, damn near.
Yeah,
maybe like A squared. I guess I don't know. It was 1B because they give so much exposition to. Oh my god, I'm blanking on her name now. The UK vampire hunter, Louise.
Yeah. Well,
or she's French. She's French, I think.
Yeah. She's okay. So here's the issue with her. I get why they did it. Because she is a character that was in Benjamin Percy's Wolverine like early in his 50-issue Wolverine run, and I guarantee they're like, ain't nobody gonna remember who she is. So they had to spend some time setting her up because she has a lot going on with her character. Because she's a woman who worked for an order that was against vampires, but ultimately became a vampire.
Right.
And it's like, okay, look, we know we gotta run y'all through this real quick, but there's a lot of other like side characters that pop up in this. It's like, there's no way you jump into this comic cold. There's no way you jump in this comic cold. There are too many moving parts to the characters that they're using. even to Jeff Bannister, his guy in the chair. It's like, okay, well, who's Jeff Bannister? Yeah, you kind of had to be reading Wolverine.
And this is a hot take for me.
Yeah,
You don't need to bring in all these extra people.
Mm.
Like, granted, she's not a new character, but she might as well damn be, because the casual fan does not
She's
know.
new. She's
new?
relatively
Okay.
yeah. She was new to the because when she showed up in Wolverine #1 when the Krakoa era started,
Right.
and she was new then. And I'll be honest with you, she's only appeared in like I think 3, maybe 4, possibly 5 comics, and I think even with this, I'm being generous. Jeff is a bigger character who's out through a lot of Wolverine. And then Maverick is just a loose end from the Benjamin Percy run that I feel like they were just like, look, man, we're just trying to like use all the things that are familiar. I feel like that's what they're doing. All 3 of these characters were in some way, shape, form, or fashion important to Wolverine at some point.
It's just underwhelming. When you hear Wolverine say, "Oh, I'm calling a favor for my friend," I'm like, in my mind, running down the. I'm like, "Oh, Dakin's coming back. Maybe X-23, a fan favorite character." And it's like, who the fuck? This is right. And then you give me another like 3 pages of exposition on who she is, and I'm like, she's kind of cool, I guess, but you missed the opportunity here. That, like, you get him fried. I'm just like, all right, now you're making it like where he needs her damn near against. I need some kind of consistency with how strong these damn vampires are, because some heroes are fodder to some heroes, and with people like Wolverine, they just like completely immobilize him. Where if she doesn't show up, he's probably getting turned.
Yeah, it's Wolverine is kind of a funny character too, because he has a long history with vampires, but I feel like he's only as good at dealing with vampires based on who's writing him at the time. Because there was a I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was a one shot or like a little 1, 2, 3, 4 issue whatever thing. There's a deal with him and Blade. They actually had a couple of different things with him and Blade, like working
all the
together.
Blade stuff they were together. I thought was dope.
Yeah, like that part's cool because like Wolverine's more of a competent vampire hunter, even though if he's not like knowledgeable. And then like early on in Benjamin Percy's Wolverine dealt with vampires a lot. Like he was going up against Dracula, and then of course you had Omega Red, who had thrown in his lot with the vampires for a little bit, and like they were trying to steal Wolverine's blood so that they could turn vampires into daywalkers and all this other stuff. And it was crazy. I was like, dude, this is so cool. But even in that, Wolverine seemed kind of incompetent when it came to dealing with vampires. So like I said, it just kind of depends on who is writing Wolverine that dictates how good he is. Fighting a vampire. It's kind of weird.
And this is a nitpick for me, I guess. This is again, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but shouldn't he not be able to be turned into a vampire? When I look at how his abilities work, where he's constantly regenerating, so I'm imagining, and he's immune to most diseases and sicknesses. So in my mind, he just has super hyped up red blood, white blood cells that attack any virus in his system. And you have a vampire virus in this, like, should it just like kill that off? Shouldn't he be immune to vampirism?
You would think. Wolverine is only as immune to the effects of vampirism as the story needs.
Right.
Because there have been times in the past where like people have tried to turn him and it doesn't work. And then there's other times where he gets turned and you're just like, okay. And then you come back in, it's like honestly, I feel like there's some unwritten rule in the Marvel like editorial office that it's just like, man, look, whatever you need. Whatever you need. Do you need Wolverine to be a vampire? Is that gonna get some butts in the seats? Is that gonna get more pre-orders on this shit? Okay, cool. Right. Go ahead. It's the same thing with It's the same thing with everything else. A character is only as immune or as impossible to turn or I guess subvert their power set as many dollar signs as they can get out of it. because every time that, like, honestly, that is the answer. That I think if you roll with that answer every time, I think you will find yourself in a position where you'll just be like, man, whatever. Because that's kind of how I am. That was always my answer is, man, because comics, like, of course, Wolverine can be turned into a vampire now because they need it. You get vampire Wolverine on the cover of a comic is going to print this. It's going to print these. Pretty much. And no matter how stupid people think it is, it's going to print these.
And you would think that's what I thought this whole run was in general in regards to that. Of the medium, honestly, pretty much.
It is. It is.
Because for this run, I saw, because I talked about this in the first video and I think we talked about this in the video before this one where we discussed how Marvel was putting so much money behind marketing and promoting Bloodhunt. So much so that people thought it was the actual Blade movie when it was getting announced and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why would you then? Because you're advertising Blade really heavy because he's still as underwhelming as his solo stuff has been. He's still a fan favorite character, especially within the Black community. And you just make him such a B character in his own story. I don't know. I feel like that's been the running trend with a lot of these stuffs where the big character that people read the issue for is the B character in their own book. And I think the only one, I guess, to move forward, the only one that isn't has been my guy here being T'Challa Black Panther. Yeah, he's been focusing on him really heavily in his relationship with Bast and how tricky that is. Now that he's a vampire, I've enjoyed the Black Panther tie-in so far, and how they've introduced this. How they tackle
Black Panther is one of the better tie-ins in my opinion. I mentioned Midnight Suns earlier. Midnight Suns, Black Panther,
Amazing Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
At least the Miles Morales Spider-Man, at least.
Yeah, I would be willing to concede that. I feel like the real meat of the story is not in these core Bloodhunt issues. Because I feel like with Black Panther, him being turned should have been a much bigger deal, considering that none of the other Avengers have technically been turned yet. Like, they're using Thor as a blood bag for the Blood Coven so that they can become more powerful. They're just holding Wanda hostage, and then Black Panther is just errand boy for Blade. And I feel like there was such a much bigger story there. And I actually appreciated that this was kind of handled the way it was, because I think this is Cheryl Lynn Eden that's on this book, and she's cooking on this, so I'm good with it. I like it. I like the idea of it. Blade being a forced ghost to him as well is also kind of funny.
It's dope. To that point as well, that's what I assumed was going to happen, because I think I spoke about it with my friend, but I was already kind of like sad that you made the analogy to horror earlier. Another key rule when it comes to horror movies is you never show your monster in all its glory. At least if you're doing a monster or ghost or whatever it may be, you never show it in its full glory too soon.
No.
And they emptied the clip with the Blood Coven. The Blood Coven lost all intimidation factor when I saw them get washed immediately after, because they had them pop up on the Avengers, and I'm like, all right, cool, round two. This is about to be like a gut-wrenching fight. It's gonna be tough, and they were working their ass. And somehow Vision can like go above the layer to absorb solar energy. I'm like, why doesn't he just do that every time and just like kill off the vampires?
Okay,
if he just be a mini sun.
I'm glad you said that, because there's two things that happened in Bloodhunt #2 that I was like, this event should be over. This event should be over by now, because when Vision went up and proved that you can open a hole in the Dark Force by just flying through it, and then of course Carol, because
she punched the hole through.
Yeah, she punched the hole. I was like, dude. I was like, man, look, y'all. I was like, I think you just solved your own crossover in the second issue. Like, you poked a hole.
Lasted a minute too. Like literally and figuratively. Like you punched and lasted enough time for them to give this like holy angelic warrior shot on all the people. I'm like, why are you doing this so early? You just made them bitch made so early. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. They're gonna do that to them, and then the next plausible idea for me is to then, all right, Now Wanda and Thor are going to be vampires because they're the super heavy hitters on the Avengers team. It makes sense for them to be undead vampires. Now you got some more kick to your Blood Coven team. Thor's still strung up. He's still strung up. Wanda's just chilling, talking shit now. I love her talking shit and she's like filing her nails like, they got worked, huh?
It's just like it's
crazy.
Look like you missing one of your Blood Coven. I was like, I mean, she ain't wrong.
Thanks for pulling up, Sean. I was just like, bro. And then now we see that Thor and Wanda are still there. I'm like, okay, Blade, what do you? And do you have? I'm assuming you have an idea of who is the entity that's controlling Blade at this point, because it's very apparent that he's being either mind controlled or possessed.
Yeah, he's being piloted by somebody, and I don't know. I have a couple of ideas. And honestly, I don't know if either of them would really make a whole heap of a lot of sense. I guess I could technically say 3. One of them got X'd out pretty quickly because of the reemergence of them in the Miles Morales Spider-Man book. I forget the demon's name, or the vampire demon, whatever it was.
Or something like that.
Something like that. Because that was a character that showed up in like earlier in the Cody Ziegler Miles Morales Spider-Man stuff, where like Miles was kind of first hanging out with Blade and Brielle. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then they kind of made an offhand comment about how Blade just tucked away this demon that he just consigned to some like magic vial prison or whatever inside of his coat pocket. And I was like, yep, don't expect this to not come up again at some point, because Blade just was kind of being dismissive to Miles about how like it's not that big a deal. And I was like, yeah, I think I think we're gonna see this guy again very soon. And I was like, well, no, I was like, they wouldn't waste it on that. And then there's also the Adana, but the Adana got destroyed in the Blade solo series. But at the same time, I could just as easily see her still having influence over Blade. But even the way that Blade is talking isn't exactly like the Adana. And I feel like they would have changed his word bubbles too to match, because the Adana always had black word balloons.
Right.
And I was like, they probably would have changed that, or maybe I feel like that, or maybe they would have felt it would have given too much away. I don't know. The only other thing I can think of is the Lightbringer sword, because the Lightbringer sword is supposed to corrupt the people who use it. And he used the Lightbringer sword to take her down, and he used it so much that they kind of kept hinting that it was corrupting him as he was going. So that's kind of why I was like, oh, well, maybe it's that. But because of how Jed MacKay has been doing lately, especially what he did with Vengeance of Moon Knight, how he just plucked a character that literally has not been within so much as a country mile of Moon Knight as of late, except for like a random issue for one panel. He just pulled the shroud out of his ass and said, yep, this is the new Moon Knight. Like, no rhyme or reason behind it. I feel like that's what we're going to get with this. I feel like it's not going to be anything that we have seen before. It's not going to be anything that we could make any tangible connections to that would make sense. It's going to be some bullshit that like, it's going to be so out of nowhere, everybody's just going to do a collective eye roll. It's just going to be like, oh, okay, yeah.
My best guess was I assumed it was going to be Chthon, just from the fact they made Montesi a significant part of the story in Midnight Suns. And then you have Wanda there too. Like the fact that he made it a big point to like tuck Wanda away. I'm like, okay, maybe it's because we know, at least for me, I feel pretty confident saying he's possessed by the way he reacted in the Midnight Suns run, where he killed all his homeboys and then like shed a tear. So I'm like, okay, he's still in there somewhere. Something's controlling his body.
Oh yeah, he's back of the bus in his own body. Is what's going on. And I promise you, it's gonna be like, let's see, how many more issues?
3 more of the main issue.
3 more of the main. Okay, so because I promise you, it's gonna wind up being one of those deals where we're gonna end up seeing probably maybe not this next issue, but definitely by issue 5, we're gonna know. We're gonna know 100%. If it's Cthulhu, I would rock with it. I would rock with it on some level, because at least then it would be something tied to everything else. But man, Jed has been letting me down lately. He's been letting me down lately. So
I need him to finish this strong. You can't start off with so much heat. Like they started this off with so much heat, and then just meander and die a slow, painful death. Just don't do that to me.
Yeah,
Blade, man. Don't do that to me.
That's the problem with crossovers, though, because like, yeah, your crossover is going to go one of two ways. You're either going to start weak and end strong, or you're going to start strong and end weak. And so not to say every crossover, like or that no crossover has been able to get around that. They do, but man, those are the bug, not the feature. The fact that Bloodhunt to me started off incredibly strong, and now it's just kind of like wet farting it out. I'm like, ooh, man. I hope y'all can. Man, I hope y'all can pull it back, man. I hope they can pull it back.
That this is a case of them releasing, because I don't know. Maybe you have a better perspective on this, but I feel like they've been releasing too many fucking tie-ins, and they're like trying to stretch this out. And in the effort of them trying to stretch this out, they tried to save some good stuff from the beginning and some good stuff for the end, and they're just trying to get these tie-ins out to build up hype for these other characters. Because bro, me buying, because again, I made it very clear to myself that I wanted to buy a physical copies of all these tie-ins to see I had the full run from start to finish. And I swear to God, every time I buy 15 books, there's another 15 books coming out the next week. I'm like, every 2 weeks, there's like 20. I'm like, oh my God, there's either you wrote all this stuff months or years in advance and got them all these made, or you were rushing. You were just rushing all this shit out. So a lot of these feel rushed.
Yeah. So as it stands, I got them pulled up. We will get Bloodhunt number 5 by July the 31st. Now, if you don't count the red band editions of this crossover, you're looking at, like, not including core issues, not including red band editions, you're looking around like 40 something tie-ins for this, like just south of 50 tie-ins for this whole thing. And I take what I said back. We'll get our answer next issue. I think we'll get our answer will be next issue for whether or not, or like rather who is holding Blade hostage. That is where I think we're gonna be on this. I think we'll find out then, and not a moment sooner. I don't think.
It seems like the entity controlling him is on, like, he's ready to unload the clip now after the Samuelson speech for whatever reason. And that leads into, I guess, the last tie-in I have covered. We've covered all these tie-ins. This is the last one that has come out since we last spoke, with Midnight Suns. And this is probably one of the better ones we spoke about, and had the better perspective on and spoke highly of. I thought it was dope. Again, thought it started off excellent with Blade, because you already know he's a villain. We know everybody is going to die. And the action, I thought I had a red band edition for a second, because the way he was killing these characters, I was like, damn. He was like, I think he decapitated one guy, stuck his sword through another guy's neck. I'm like, how is this not a red band edition? What is the point of a red band edition if they're just doing this in a regular tie-in?
So here's your thing. So, and this is why I keep saying that the red band editions are bullshit. Because I feel like, and I know, I think I saw an editor at Marvel, I don't remember exactly who it was, but basically they said that, well, it doesn't really change the story. Y'all are thinking too hard about it. And I was like, no, it does. Because if Doctor Strange is supposed to be ripped in half in the red band edition, but he's not in, like, literally even his own comic, I mean, that's a continuity. To me, that reeks of continuity error. Like, I mean, yeah, sure. Like, okay, so if he is ripped in half, what happens when Doctor Strange ultimately comes back? Like, we're just gonna magically in the red band just wave the hand and like, oh yeah, Clea just cast a healing spell. Okay, he's fine now.
Because
Like,
he's still like separated at this point. If you keep reading, like, if you get the red bandit, he's still separated.
Yeah,
something like.
It's like, okay, all right, and I just want to make it so. Okay, I was wrong. I thought the Doctor Strange one had already come out. It comes out tomorrow. The issue 16. I was wondering. I was like, man, why haven't I seen? I feel like I should have read 16. I thought maybe I skipped it, but no, it comes out tomorrow. But yeah, that's kind of my thing. Like, I feel like if the Red Band edition is not going to reflect what's going on, it's pointless. And the Midnight Suns tie-in kind of proved it. Like, you don't need a Red Band edition to be gory. I mean, I don't think it's necessary.
That was gonna be so much more. I'm a horror fan, so I felt I had to do it. I'm like, I gotta see this gore, I gotta see this blood, these guts. And I'm like, oh, this is. And then with the end of the first one with Steven being cut in half, I'm like, oh, that was badass.
Yeah.
And then I bought the variant cover of the second issue that wasn't the red band, and it didn't have that. I'm just like, oh, so this doesn't matter. Cool, great. Because they're about to have Victor Strange. At least they're alluding to Victor Strange taking over his body while he's not in it. So I'm like, so why would he be a threat if he's going to be a walking torso? So, like, even if he takes it over, he's not going to be doing much.
It's dumb. It's dumb. It's a gimmick. This is holographic covers. This is foil covers. That's all the Red Band edition is. It's nothing important. Personally, I think it's dumb. I think it's like it would be different if they weren't already just making the other books equally as gory, if not more so than the Red Band editions. And it's just like, it's a gimmick. And because people, man, oh my God, it reminds me when I used to work at GameStop. It reminds me when I used to work at GameStop, man. I'm not even going to fucking hold you. It really does. Like, we're like, oh, well, no, man, do you want to pre-order do you want to pre-order the new Call of Duty? Yeah, I want to pre-order the new Call of Duty. All right, well, cool. Hey, check this out. So just so you know, man, I don't normally tell people this, but man, they got a super ultra sexy, like super deluxe, mega ultra, super awesome, amazing version game. Oh, what's in it? Well, you get the game, and the game's already gonna be lit. So you check this out, man. Get a weapon skin, bro. Oh, does it do anything? Nah, man, nah. It just man, but it looks cool though, man. So when you start, man, when you get your KD up and you just be like out here clapping all these folks. Oh man, look, dude, you see the bullets. Oh man, this is gonna look so awesome. The bullets flying out of your gun with the new skin. Oh man, it's gonna be amazing.
It's an additional $40.
Yeah, right.
For a $60 game.
Right. Jazz was saying you get a steel box. Like, that's what I feel like this shit is. Like, I mean, and look, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like say Marvel isn't allowed to try and get the bag, but come on, bro. Like I'm not trying to hate, but like, at least if you're gonna do this, like, I feel like what the Red Band edition should have been, if you wanted to censor like some of the gore that was already in the book itself, okay, fine. And then the Red Band edition just like kind of like when they did with Thor in the first book, where he gets like stabbed in the head, and he's like all, and it's like, and while you see it, you don't really see it. Like, it's kind of like they do some weird like kind of oh my God,
shadow over
it, they do like some weird kind of crazy like graphic effect on it to where like you see it but you don't really see it in all its goriness. I would be like, okay, cool. So what if in the Red Band edition, okay, yeah, same thing, but like maybe you see like some brain matter, maybe you see a little more blood, and none of it is obfuscated by any kind of graphical, I guess, curtain. Like, okay, yeah, cool, that makes sense. But when we start talking about Doctor Strange, oh yeah, no, this is 100% a fucking gimmick. It's 100% a fucking gimmick, and I feel like I just got had. That's what I feel like. I feel like I like the wool. It would be like if they told me, hey, dude, check this out. We're re-releasing Terrifier 2.
Oh,
and it's gonna be a director's cut edition. And I'm like, oh, bro, oh man, so I know this is gonna be wild. And then you get the director's cut, and it's like 30 seconds of maybe a scene. Yeah, like, and not even like spread across multiple kills, but just like in one kill. And I'm like,
when old girl got sprayed
okay,
with the lemon juice, it's just her screaming for like an extra
like
20 seconds.
Right. It's like you get the like no, he's rubbing the lemon juice in a little bit more is what you get to see. It's like I'm like, look, bro, I don't need this. Like, if I just give it to me in the main book. Like, I think another reason why they did it too is because they wanted this to have mainstream appeal, kind of like what we talked about earlier. And they wanted everybody to be able to read this. Not just adults, but maybe even some teenagers, and maybe even, heaven forbid, some kids. Which is a weird one for me. I don't feel like this is a story you tell to get your kid audience, but yeah, you do you. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems this was just lame. That's what it is. It's just fucking lame.
Cough capitalism. As far as we're in election season, so I gotta let my political side show.
Oh yeah, it
feels like very exploitative in the same sense, like you said before, with the gaming industry and a lot of other industries where you just add on this thing to make it seem like it has some sense of exclusivity.
Yeah, this is horse armor.
The same shit.
This is this is Skyrim horse armor. That's what this is.
You could have it's essentially a variant cover, but it's not a variant cover. Same shit.
Or not Skyrim, Oblivion, but you know what I mean.
Right. It irritates me as somebody who I'm like, oh, I'm making sure I'm getting, because I want the oh my god, I can't remember the name of the artist, but he's doing a mural variant cover where for all 6 issues when you put them together, it's a big mural. I'm like, I want that bad. I'm getting that. And then I'm already buying the red band edition. And part of me wanted to already get the regular one too. And I'm like, why am I buying all these fucking different versions of the same book if it's the same shit? Let me just get the one I want, and then I don't need. I stopped buying the red band edition. I'm not gonna lie to you. The last 2, I think the last. Well, yeah, this issue. I didn't even buy this issue as the red band edition, and I didn't even notice. Didn't even notice.
It's pointless. It's pointless. It's unnecessary, and it doesn't justify itself in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Like, you would have to step up to really show me something. Because hell, if I go back and think about it, the Dracula Bloodhunt issue 1, I feel like was more violent than some of the red band editions.
They straight up like capped a girl from the back, and you saw like a hole in her head. I'm like, damn,
dude, they were even showing vampires getting like other vampires getting like tore off.
I think real like decapitated one or like cut him in half or some shit like that.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, y'all are like, when I saw that, I was like, y'all ain't serious. Y'all are not serious people. You're not serious people at all.
To get into the, I guess because we can finish up as it's not covering the tie-in specifically, but more so just kind of some narrative pieces with the actual story itself. We saw at the end of issue number 3 that the Temple of First Blasphemy has now appeared on the scene. Does this have any like weird connections to anything in the past I'm not aware of? It's just a new thing.
It was the first I'd heard of it.
It looked so badass. Do not disappoint me with this shit. It looked so badass. It looked like I don't know how much Star Wars stuff you know, but like you go back to Korriban and like the Knights of the Old Republic game, it looks like a Sith temple, like a Sith holocron.
Yeah, it was like some weird, like it was like if you took that and mixed it with like some Stargate like type shit, I was like,
right.
And like maybe some Hellraiser, I was like, okay, all right, this is kind of legit. But when I looked at it, that was the first thing I thought about. I was like, I've never seen or heard one of this temple before. I was like, this is some new shit. Like, and I even kind of hedged my bets a little bit. I was like, I don't know, man. I've read a lot of Namor, and I don't think that this is the first I'm hearing about this. Man, look. Actually, that's my question, and maybe my question will be answered. If Namor don't come walking out that motherfucker, I don't want it. I need to see Vampire Namor. If I don't see that, then I'm calling bullshit on the whole thing. Yeah,
bro. This is where, like, again, after issue 3, we're like officially over the hump of halfway point with the story. Shit,
Yes.
now we should be reaching the climax and shit should be ramping up. I need to see some more battles, which I think that's what was this end of this book was alluding to, because you see Blade or the entity controlling him lost his shit, and now he's changing up the plan and he's back on Earth now. We see the Blood Kevin's back with him now. I think he told T'Challa that he changed the plan and he sent him somewhere else. I can't remember where he sent him to.
Yeah. Well, and they were trying to do the thing where it's like, hey, fast forward the plan, and I'm sure all this stuff is going to kind of this is all going to factor into his tie-in on some level or another. I'm like, bruh, I just need y'all to do better. Man. Maybe this is made a very strong argument for why you don't do like multiple crossover events in a year. Because I feel like I know readers say they have event fatigue, but I feel like Marvel has event fatigue. I feel like they've worn themselves out with events by this point. And I don't want to be, and I know it sucks because a lot of artists and writers and colorists and letterers are getting work right now that they probably normally wouldn't have. So that's the one good thing about tie-ins, is that a lot of people get to work. But man, I feel like very few people fully understood the assignment, or maybe Jed MacKay told him, hey man, you just write whatever you want. Just write whatever you want. That's all good.
Hopefully it ends well. Me and where I rank this is going to all depend on where Brielle is in the hierarchy of this whole event, because you don't gas her up like you just gassed her up in issue number 3 and have her be Blade's literally biological daughter and her not be a major part of this. Like, by the end of this run, she should be a bigger name and a bigger player in Marvel going forward. Like, I should be at cons in the future and see people cosplaying Brielle. If anything else, because it's an easy ass cosplay to fucking do for one. And then two, she's a dope character in general.
You get you a purple wig, get you like you have either some little
British schoolgirl outfit, I guess.
Yeah, or something, and hook it up. But like, I just know and I need to see her with her own book. I feel like I need to see Danny Lord needs to be writing another Bloodline book is what needs to be happening.
I need that.
And while I know that that Cheryl Lynn Eden can't talk about it because or not so much that she can't, but that there's nothing to say. Because I know some people have asked her online if she's going to be writing the next Black Panther solo series. I mean, I know we're only an issue in, but I feel like she's already off to a good start. So if Marvel were smart, I would maybe throw some bread her way and say, hey, can you come on and write us some more T'Challa? But I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I do agree. I think that by the time we get to the end of this, if Brielle's cachet has not risen, if her stock has not risen any higher, I'm calling bullshit on the whole event. Because otherwise, what was this for? Yeah. Because obviously this was not to prop up Blade. This was not to prop up Blade. No matter how much they could say that, oh yeah, we wanted to make Blade the bad guy to kind of shake things up and make him more. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's not what this is for. This is for Brielle. Let's go ahead and stop. Let's go ahead and cut the bullshit. And if by the time we get to the end of this, Brielle has not because I feel like this is also going to be in an effort to boost her powers permanently.
Yeah.
Because right now
infinite control over the shit now because she's had it for days at this point in the story.
Yeah, I feel like that's what we're angling towards. And if not, I don't know why we did any of this. Because there is no real other good reason.
I'm like, why you make her dad the villain? You make Dracula her sidekick, essentially, her buddy cop thing for a minute of it, and we just came off of a story where Dracula essentially trained her father. I'm like, cool. This is all pointing in the direction for her to be the next big thing in Marvel Comics.
And even also in that same Blade series, hinting at who Dracula used to be before he became who we know him as. That telling Blade, I was the first you. Like, I did what you do now, but now I am this. Like, and I feel, man, I'm not gonna lie. Now that we just said all this out loud, man, I really wish Brian Hill would have wrote this, because I feel like Brian Hill would have cooked. He would have cooked because he basically set this. Okay, yeah, no, I'm gonna need Jed McKay to get right. I feel like, yeah, I'm mad now. I'm actually mad now. I'm legit. I don't normally let this stuff bother me, but now I'm thinking about, like, man, Brian Hill literally gave you the perfect setup for this arc, and you are, as far as I can tell, not using it. Like, Dracula literally tells this man, I am the you before you. That literally sets him up to take the fall and to become a new type of Dracula for this event, and you have done nothing with it. Man, I'm not gonna lie. This is not this Bloodhunt. No, the story is called Wasted Potential. That's what that is.
I hope the end of it isn't. I hope this is just a moment where, like, I hope this is just a point where we're just being very reactionary to what's going on right now, and then the next set of tie-ins or the next other 3 main issues are the thing that changed this. Because if they can give me, because we have issue 1 was really solid, 2 and 3 were very mid. Well, 3, I'll say mid. I don't think they were bad. I didn't hate reading them. It was just I was disappointed. I need these next 3 to be some heat, or at least 2 out of 3 to be some heat. Please give me some heat for majority of this run, because at that point you built up this hype for it. And in my mind, I thought this was just a ploy to boost a Blade for the movie at some point. Yeah, well, maybe it won't ever fucking come out the way it's looking. I thought that's what it was for boosting up the movie and then boosting up Brielle, because I think that they're trying to usher in a lot more new characters for the MCU and stuff going forward with how they're resetting things, especially now that James Gunn already talked about trying to connect games and comics to the shows and stuff for DC. I figured that's their way of fighting back. I hope all this was for naught. I hope it wasn't all for naught. And they just did this just to do this. And they put a lot of money behind marketing for this shit.
Oh, yeah. Dude, like I said, even my mom knew that Bloodhunt was coming out. My mom knew. I saw this thing on Facebook. This some new Blade movie called Bloodhunt coming out. I was like, oh, Lord.
Granted, we could just be harsh critics. That could be the case. Because I've seen...
I
was in a comic shop the other day getting issue 3, and the guy was like, I guess his brother hadn't ever really been in the comics like that for real, and he was the sibling that was. And he's like explaining the book to him, and we chopped up for a little bit about it. And they loved it apparently. They didn't see any flaws in it. So I'm like, hey, hopefully the major public likes it, and maybe I warm up to it later on. Hopefully the end's tremendously. I don't know, because I need there to be good Blade stuff. I need there to be good Brielle stuff, because after I got the whole fucking, I got it over here somewhere. I got the whole Bloodline thing back there in the back. I bought that and read that immediately when I found out who she was. And then for me, it was dope. As soon as I find out who she is and read her solo run, then Bloodhunt drops. I'm like, okay, this is destiny for me. I'm supposed to love and fall in love with Brielle now, and I have. So for her not to be used in the right way, I'm just like, okay, let's.
It would be a waste. It would be a waste. But I will totally cop to being a harsh critic if it turns out that maybe this was actually good. Man, I'm gonna need some convincing.
Thanks, Jasmine. Thank you for pulling through. I appreciate it.
Hey, take care, Jazz.
Thank you so much. And what did I say? Just noticed Diesel's and ATS were. Yeah, bro. ATO's dope, man. ATO is. I've been here for like 2 years now. Well, I'm from Georgia, but I've been in the city for like 2 years now. I'm enjoying it somewhat. I gotta get into more of the nerdy places in Atlanta. I've been at the regular poppy places that people want to go to, and I've been like, this is not for me. I need to go where the nerds at.
I'll get back down there one of these days.
When you come back through, let me know, bro. We get some IRL stuff recorded.
Dude, I'll do it. Let me know. I'll do it.
But before we get up out of here, you want to let everybody know where they can find you at if they don't already know, and what you're working on coming up?
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me on YouTube. This is where I'm the most active. YouTube.com/Blur Without Fear. I drop new videos throughout the week. Literally dropped one for Bloodhunt number 3 earlier today. I do videos where I talk to comic book writers and artists and other folks about some of the books they have coming up. And also, I used to be like the big X-Men guy. I'm not right now because there's no X-Men stuff coming out. Well, there is, but not like as much as before. But I've actually been tackling a lot of other stuff. I've been looking more into like some of the Dynamite stuff, some of the Image stuff, some of the Boom Studio stuff. So you can always jump in and find me talking about some of those things. I live stream every Thursday and Saturday. Nerds of Culture on Thursday, where we talk about some of the craziness going on in the spectrum of nerd media, whether it's comics, video games, movies, TV shows. Me, my homie Robo of Left Face TV, Cypher, just Chris Cypher on those days. And on Saturdays, it's me and my buddy Carter. We do the Blur Cave every Saturday, and we just kind of talk about general comic book news every Saturday. So check in, and you can find me pretty much everywhere else. Blur Without Fear on most other social media channels, but I'm probably only really active on Twitter, just because I refuse to leave, despite the fact that it has a dumb name now. And I will not call it that name.
Your Twitter is hilarious. I swear. you post out of pocket stuff, and I love it.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't like. Let me tell you something. My Twitter can be. It can be something. It can be something. I'll say some wild shit. I'll post some wild shit, and here's the thing. I'll post some shit, put my phone down, and go in the other room, and it could be like I'll have folks like, "Bruh, why'd you do that?" Or they're like, "I don't know, man. Y'all be all right." I'll be like, "Y'all be all right." Like there'll be folks either mad at me or laughing or whatever. Like, but here's the thing: no one can say that my Twitter doesn't make them feel something.
Yeah, I think I saw the other day you were just like, yeah, I'm not going to argue with y'all back and forth. You're just getting blocked. It is what it is.
Yeah, that was it.
There's no back and forth with y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not doing this.
It's done.
It's yeah, bro. I appreciate you for coming on again and giving me some more of your time.
Yeah, anytime.
Again, I'm not gonna glaze you again like last time. No Diddy. But yeah, bro, you're inspiration. You are a pioneer in the game. Before we do leave, I do want to give a quick shout out. I give my condolences to Benny, comic historian, because again, I talked about on here last time how big of an inspiration you were, but like you, Benny, and Rob are like, for me, are like my big three of this YouTube comic game, and you kept myself and a lot of other people interested in and out of comics over the last damn near decade. I did not,
Rob and Benny,
bro. I did not expect Rob's passing to hit me as hard as it did. I was like, damn.
The thing is, I tell people all the time, I didn't know Benny personally. We had like a couple of like 2 or 3 interactions just online, nothing IRL. But like I tell people all the time, man, my biggest regret is that I never did get to know him. Because the more I've heard people talk about him, I was like, man, we were like, I was like, dude, he was a kindred spirit. Just in, I think the thing I kept hearing people say is like, oh man, Benny had a laugh you could hear from like across a convention floor, and I was like, yeah, that's me. I've literally had people come up to me because they're like, oh yeah, I heard you from like the other side of the building. So I was like, dude, Benny and I would have gotten along. We probably would have like gotten on each other's nerves, but I think we would have been really cool if I would have gotten to know him. I was very sad. That's my regret. Is that I never got to know him.
I'm very similar to you in that context. Me like starting this content stuff now, and I'm like, y'all people think I want the clout just for the clout. I'm like, no, I want clout to meet my heroes. And 2, just to be able to do what I love to talk about and cover and enjoy. I have like a hit list of all the creators I watched growing up that I want to meet and create content with at some point. You were on there, so I got you knocked off a couple of times now. The Black Macedonia. I got a couple of them knocked off. And it is sad to me that I'll never get Benny knocked off of my list. And it is what it is, man. But yeah, rest in paradise to Benny. And in regards to me, this is your first time finding me on this platform on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for showing up. I am Captain Diesel, and this is Captain Diesel's Dojo. I cover comics, some games, movies, and some anime. We're gonna get more into the anime as time goes on. I like anime, don't love it as much as my counterparts do, but I'm going to be, as far as content coming out soon, you guys can expect a magnum opus of sorts of me in regards to a Power Rangers video I'm doing. I'm covering the Disney era Power Rangers. I feel like they get a little neglected, and I put a lot of work into that video and a lot of money into the editing for that video. So it should be a really dope one. I appreciate it if you guys will check that out. And on the shorter term, I just dropped my review of issue number 3 for Marvel's Bloodhunt, and I will be dropping a little fun video since it's Juneteenth tomorrow and I'll have time. I'm going to be diving into who I believe would be the best villain to showcase in Daredevil Born Again. Or is it Born Alive or Born Again?
Born Again.
Born Again. Yeah, I've been reading a series of comics, and I think this particular individual would be perfect for this series, but it would be a little bit of a crapshoot, but I think he could fit. So I'm gonna record all that and edit all that myself tomorrow. So you guys can be expecting a new video from me tomorrow. But all in all, thank you guys for showing up. This has been Captain Diesel, and this is Captain Diesel's Dojo. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate any support up to this point, and I hope for more support in the future. Appreciate it. Deuces.
You're now watching the Captain.